Brought to you by Allstate, whose policies now include protection for your home, your family, as well as your car. You're in good hands with Allstate. And now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you. You've heard of triple threat men. We have a quadruple threat man on tonight. The producer, director, writer, and comedy star of a big new picture called Ladies' Man. Who would that be? Jerry Lewis.
Thank you very much. And now the Broadway New York columnist for the New York Journal American and show people's friend, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And now, just back from England and Ireland, where he's been singing the glories of Random House, our regular panelist, Bennett Cerf.
Here's our panel moderator, that overpoweringly brilliant manipulator of polysyllabic words, John Charles Daly.
A few more gentle words like that from Bennett, and I'll be asking for a raise. You'll see it coming. Jerry, it's very nice to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, John.
It's a handsome-looking panel, I think. After the next half hour, though, perhaps they won't look so handsome. We hope anyway. We have some very interesting occupations, and our purpose is to puzzle the panel completely with these occupations. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the program, and we'll meet our first challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Mr.
Y.
Mr. Y. Nice to have you with us. Would you be good enough to tell us where you're from?
I'm European.
You're European, visiting in the United States?
Yes, sir.
Ah, well, it's nice to have you with you. This is our panel, if I may present them formally. And now would you join me over here, please, sir?
Sure.
Do you know how we keep score on What's My Line?
Yes, I think I do.
All right, in that event, let's let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. Needless to say, we have asked our guest to sign in as Mr. Y because there are some fears in our area that were you to know the real name, it might give you too much of a clue as to what we're trying to puzzle you with tonight. We can tell you, however, that our guest is self-employed, that he deals in a service with which a product is very closely associated. With that much information, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Well, Mr. Y, is there anything creative about your work?
Yes.
Is it a service that women might enjoy?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the way women look?
Yes.
Are you a designer of fashion?
Yes.
Well, goodbye, everybody. You're a European designer of fashion. Now, who is it? Is that what I have to guess?
Well, it'd be fun if you could figure it out.
Well, the only European that I've been hearing a great deal about lately was the European who was a little askance at the length of Mrs. Kennedy's skirt. Are you that European?
Emphatically no.
You like the length of Jacqueline Kennedy's skirt.
I like everything about Mrs. Kennedy.
So here, we all agree.
Well, actually, we can't. We're going to throw them all over anyway. This is fun. Just let's see if you can guess.
Do you work for Christian Dior?
No.
All right, goodbye.
Jerry?
Are you Henny Youngman? I don't have the pleasure of knowing who this person is. You are from London, are you not? No.
Paris?
No.
Spain?
No.
Newark?
Italy.
Italy.
Newark? No.
Italian designer?
Yes.
That makes it simple.
From the yeshiva. Could you be yeshiva with a Y? I answer no.
I can't think.
If I were to tell you that his first name was Emilio...
Oh!
Right!
What is that? Emilio Pucci with a Y? Yes, sir.
I don't even know what he makes, I think.
How do you spell the Pucci with a Y?
P-U-C-C-C-Y.
Well, what was the Y?
That was just to confuse you.
As opposed to Mr. X.
The show is rigged.
John, is Mr. Pucci the man who makes those beautiful figured silk shirts for women? Is that right?
Some people think they're beautiful.
And
But
he
I
makes
think-
the slim, tapered trousers. That's what he was famous for, with the little booties to match. That isn't the only thing, but that's
What
what
was
he's...
that, Arlene?
Well, actually, our guest is...
Tapered trousers with booties to match.
With booties to me. Our guest is a very remarkable man. Number one, he was a pilot in the last war of distinction, much decorated. You hold, if I remember correctly, a master's degree from an American
Yes,
school.
in
right?
political and social science, something that's very useful for designing.
Which college was that?
Reed College in Portland, Oregon.
And you have a doctorate, too, don't you?
Yes, in law.
Has a doctorate in law and is also distinguished by something that Arlene mentioned a moment ago. He had some trousers which were named after him. They call them, I understand, Arlene and Dorothy, they call them Emilios, the trousers that you were talking about?
I always called them Poochie's pants.
You...
Thank you, Eileen.
And you live in a fine old... I think, actually, we might as well give all the rest. I think this is a little embarrassing to Mr. Pucci. He's also a Marchese, I believe.
Yes.
And lives in a castle in Italy, which is how many years old?
1,000.
1,000 years old.
How's the help situation lately? We do a lot of it by ourselves.
It's the same everywhere. The same thing is true in the United States these days. Well, I'm sorry.
We have American appliances.
Have American appliances?
Yes, of course.
Did you have to rewire the castle recently?
We've just done it, yes.
To get everything, so you can have everything in the way of washing machines and televisions and so forth.
Everything.
Well, I must say, sir, it's a compliment certainly to your creative talents that to mention your first name is to know immediately your last. It's a compliment to us that you've taken this time to visit with us. Sports Illustrated is has given an award, actually, to Mr. Pucci for his sportswear design, and this is the field in which he seems to excel, although I must admit some ignorance of this general area, sir.
Perfectly right.
Thank you very much for being our
Thank
guest.
you very
It's nice
much.
to have you with us.
Thank you.
If I might digress for a moment and talk to the audience in the theater, Mr. Pucci and I could hear, when the identification was shown to the audience, someone reading the occupation to himself or to herself. I don't think the panel could hear it. I'm sure you couldn't because it came from this side of the theater, but please be very careful not to read it out loud when the sign goes up. All right, now let's see what we can do with our second challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Mabel? Mabel Stark, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Stark?
Miss.
Miss Stark, and where are you from, Miss Stark?
Thousand Oaks, California.
Thousand Oaks, California. Well, it's nice to have you with us. May I present our panel, Miss Stark? And now, would you join me over here, please, ma'am? Do you know how we keep score, Mrs. Stark? I mean, Miss Stark?
I do.
All right, if you know how we keep score, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. panel, we can tell you that Miss Stark is salaried and deals in a service, and we'll begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Miss Stark, I can rule out the Keystone Comedy girls, can't I?
What's that?
Mr. Cerf asks if he can rule out the Keystone Comedy
Bathing
Yes, you
duties.
can. Yes.
The service that you perform, Miss Stark, does that bring you into contact with both men and women?
It does.
Do you ever touch the men and women while you're performing the
No,
service?
I do not.
No, there is no physical contact, Bennett, but what you elicited is the fact that there are others present when the service is performed. All right, Miss Arlene?
Do you have anything whatsoever to do with the motion picture industry, Mrs. Stark?
Sometimes.
Do you have anything to do with the way they look in the motion picture?
No, I do not.
2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Lewis.
Can I check with Miss Francis? Because it's important to find out.
You can have a conference.
Did you mean the way they look in terms of fashion?
Fashion or face or hair or anything like that?
Miss Stark, you said that you do have something to do with film?
No.
Or the motion picture industry?
Yes,
Sometimes.
I do. Sometimes.
Well, would this be in the editorial supervision of the film?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you do whatever you do off camera, Miss Stark? On camera? Off camera. Sometimes. Well, does that mean that you can also work on camera? I have. Do you ever appear as a player in motion pictures? No. Then how are you on
Now,
camera?
this covers such a large area of ground, Miss Stark. If you mean by player, is Miss Stark ever on camera as a performer in a picture?
I mean, is she ever photographed in the end product which reaches the screen in a movie theater? No.
No. That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Stark, this means then that you must do something behind the scenes occasionally in studios. Is that correct? Well, if you are in...
No, but wait a minute, Bennett, because Miss Stark is not used to our terms of reference here. Let me have a small conference with her.
Sometimes. Yes.
You are in our terms of reference, in that all that goes on to prepare for the making of a scene in a picture is behind the scenes, then your answer would be yes.
Miss Stark, do you have anything whatever to do with the making of the scenery or preparation of the set for a picture?
No. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, Mrs.
I might say this concentration, if I can offer just a small bit of help, this concentration on the sometime experience with film is a very thin road for you to be walking on.
Mrs. Stark, is there anything physical about your work at all?
Yes.
Do you do anything unusual physically?
Yes.
Could you be a double for anyone or a stunt performer in any way?
Yes.
Now, but here again, we're accepting these terms very broadly.
We're accepting them very broadly. How broad can a stunt be? Do you use any equipment in the work that you do?
Yes, I do.
Would it be any form of transportation?
No.
No. 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Lewis.
Have you been in this particular field of endeavor more than 25 years?
Yes.
Are you one of the, what you might say, one of the original participants in this business?
Yes.
Would you be one of the very few that prevail today that are left?
Yes.
I would say, actually, to be quite frank, that Miss Stark is one of the few in the whole history of this particular area of activity who, as a woman, would be performing this particular kind of work.
Are you performing in the technical aspect of the business?
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss
Why didn't you leave me alone? I was fine until you made out with your show-off intelligence.
But I don't.
Gee, what a nasty face.
Miss Stark, in your work, would you ever take the place of an actor in a picture or an actress? No.
8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Stark, have you ever had anything to do with the writing of scripts or directing of scripts?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
Mrs. Stark, do you use your hands in this job?
I do.
Do you ever paint anything or plumb anything?
No.
No, 10 down and no more
I know
to go.
it.
What is it, Jerry?
Miss Stark handles all of the film that comes through in process in the library.
No.
Well, we have some... No, or did she say a stunt?
Something like a stunt.
Did you ever hold a reel
Actually-
of film and try and keep it together?
Miss Stark, who is in her 70s, is a tiger trainer. And in Thousand Oaks, California, there is a place called Jungle Land, is it not?
It is.
And I've used some of Miss Stark's very fine animals in my own pictures. Is that right, Miss Stark?
You have.
How would you like a smack in the mouth? And Miss Stark is still training them and is still very active.
Is still, that's right.
What are you, some kind of nut?
Jerry, we just loaded this trap for you. Wasn't that
I
right?
knew it. The minute I knew it, and I can tell you the pictures, too. By the way, Mrs. Stark, that chipmunk was very sick 3 years ago.
No, I do want to put in the record that in Jungle Land in Thousand Oaks, California, Miss Stark today still performs with sometimes as many as 6 tigers, which she trains
Each and every day.
each and every day. And I wouldn't ask Miss Stark exactly how old she is, but I know that she's in her 70s.
I do not mind. I'm 71.
71 years old. That's wonderful. And thank you so much for being our guest. Wonderful to have you with us. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which the members of the panel are always blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't see.
Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, we go to a different form of questioning. On this trip, you ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Have you a hit record?
Yeah.
Mr. Sir?
Are you primarily a singer?
Yeah.
Miss Francis?
Do you sing in pictures?
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis?
Southern pictures?
Yeah.
Miss Kilgallen?
Wait, that's not a fair.
Oh, is that... Oh, you want that to be a half?
One question. I wanted to get a laugh, so I forgot what I wanted to say. All right.
Now, actually, Jerry, we will accept that that was asked for the good fun in it. You may have a real serious
Thank
question
you, John.
now.
I appreciate it. I'd like a mellow roll also, if I could.
You can have your mellow roll after the program.
Are you currently appearing in New York?
No.
That's why I thought you'd like another question. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are you Connie Francis?
Yeah. I must say, Miss Connie, I'm afraid that bedlam that broke loose when you came through the curtains did a great deal to give too much away at one time. At the same time, our congratulations to you for the meteoric career that you have had in this
Thank
past
you,
year.
John. It was nice all the same.
Ah, it was wonderful.
John, Dorothy's jumping it. I was going to ask about where the boys are. I wanted to get that in, Miss Francis, but never had a chance.
Thank you. When he said a southern
You were thinking
movie,
where the boys are,
I was
weren't
thinking
you?
of southern Florida.
Yeah, and I didn't. I was just thinking of The Voice. Excuse me.
But that's several hits back, isn't it, Connie?
Two
Not
hits
movie.
back.
2 weeks back. But the movie Where the Boys
yes.
Are Now has been playing around the country for
Yes,
many,
it
many
has.
weeks
It's a very
and
cute picture.
been very
Thank
cute.
you.
Very
I think I'd have guessed her, John, if she'd have talked a lot more regularly. I mean, you know, the disguising of the voice threw me altogether.
So unfair.
You know, with the disguising the voice, the blindfold, and this chair that's hot and making my trousers sticky. You don't give her enough to work with here at all, John.
I think you would have too, Jerry, because any young lady who has you've had 7 gold records and you've sold 15 million records in the very recent past. It's a wonderful record. Thank you for being our guest. Well, panel, you've done fairly well so far, and we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate. And now let's meet another contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Bob Roller. Right, sir? Mr. Roller, will you tell us where you're from?
I am now from Teaneck, New Jersey, but originally from the Philippines.
Originally from the Philippines, now living in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Teaneck, New Jersey.
May I present our panel, Mr. Roller?
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you join me? You know how we keep score?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let the 2 audiences, that here and the one at home, know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, we can tell you that Mr. Roller is salaried and he deals in a product, and we'll begin the general questioning with Jerry Lewis. You're blindfolded.
I just want to make it a little tougher. Mr. Roller, do you know Dave Apollon?
No, sir, I don't.
Well, that's not a question. This is just conversational. Oh, you wanted me to start, John?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Rowland, could any one of us on this panel use your product?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be found in the home?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it ever be found in the kitchen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it a food product?
No, ma'am.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
But, Mr. Roller, though it is not a food product, does it ever come into close contact with the human being that is using it?
Yes, sir.
Would it ever be anywhere near that human being's mouth?
Oh, once in a while, yes.
But very rarely, Bennett. We'll give you a modified affirmative on that, but it would be very rare.
It is not, in other words, then, it is not ever put into the mouth.
No, sir.
Is it used more in the kitchen than in the dining room?
No, not necessarily.
Well, let's say, I think we'll give him this, that it's used in
Yeah.
the kitchen as well as it is in the dining room, and we're not in a position to say, except that certain circumstances have been clarified for us, that it's used more in one room than the other.
I see. Would this ever be used in the preparation of a meal?
No, sir.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Would it be a product that has a tendency to get rid of anything?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Lewis.
You did say that Mr. Roller is salaried.
Mm-hmm.
Do you in any way show the buyer, the respective buyer, the use of this said product?
Yes, I show it.
He does, and Jerry, I'm sorry, because you're on a very interesting line of questioning, but we've run out of time, and I have to reveal to you that Mr. Roller sells and demonstrates. This is the area in which you were questioning yo-yos.
In a kitchen?
I know some yo-yo players who do it when they're walking across
Right.
Brooklyn Bridge on the girders.
Oh, yes, I know that, except that, oh.
You ever seen a youngster sitting in the kitchen and playing the yo-yo?
I do it all the time.
I figured. Well, actually, Mr. Roller works for the biggest yo-yo company in the world, don't you? The Duncan Yo-Yo Company, and he goes all over the world selling
He was one of the champs,
demonstrating yo-yos. I'm sorry we've run out of time, sir, and I have to say good night and wish we had more time.
Thank you very much.
With us. We've run out of time so handily that I must ask to say good night for everybody and thank you for being with us on What's My Line.
The preceding program was pre-recorded.
Come on, let's all play What's My Line? And now let's meet this week's What's My Line panel. First, the funniest monkey in the barrel, Soupy Sales.
Thank you, and thank you, Chet Gould. Well, it's a pleasure to welcome back this dynamic star of the nightclubs and recording world. Would you please welcome Donna Valeri.
Our wonderful movie critic and columnist for Ladies' Home Journal, Mr. Gene Shalit.
Trying to make up some joke about you're a pizza pie and this is a chiffon pie because Arlene Francis is wearing a chiffon dress, but Arlene Francis.